So your girl is finally a band 6 midwife. I'll be telling you guys all about it in this video. I'll be telling you guys about the process, what I had to do, my meeting with my manager and all of that good stuff. I'll also be telling you guys about the different bands within the NHS, what they mean, what they do and all of that good stuff, including the pay. So let's get into this video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nadine and welcome back to this brand new video. If you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. And if you are a returning subscriber tuning in once again, hello, hi and welcome back, and thank you guys for tuning in. So this video was highly requested. I got so many questions, so many DMs, so I'm here to answer all of them for you. So I recently got my band 6. I was a band 5 for 6 months, and within the 6 months I was able to progress and become a band 6 midwife. So I'll be telling you guys about what I had to do to get it, the process of getting it, the meeting I had with my manager, the pay, and I'll also be diving into the bands within the NHS, what they are, what they mean and all of that. So let's get into this video. So let me start by telling you guys about my preceptorship program and my journey so far. I qualified last year in September, so that was September 2020. We are now October 1st, 2021. So it's been over a year now, a little over a year now since I've been qualified. I started to work in March 2021, so I took 6 months break. So I started in March, so I've been working as a newly qualified midwife for 6 months. So my preceptorship program, where I work within my trust, every trust is different. So within my trust, our preceptorship program is 12 months. So it's a year preceptorship program. But within that 12 months of being a preceptorship, you are able to progress and become a band 6 midwife. And this is solely based on my trust and where I work. Some trusts, they need you to do the full 1 year preceptorship before you get your band 6. Some trusts, they automatically give you the band 6 as soon as you qualify. Other trusts, they do exactly the same as my trust. So within my trust, we are able to progress and become band 6 within 6 months if you have that meeting with your manager and you qualify, or you've done everything you needed to do within that 6 months to actually get your band 6. So that's just a little bit about me and my preceptorship program and what I've been doing so far. So let's talk bands. Why do we have bands within the NHS? What do they mean and who does it cover? So bands is basically like a pay system within the NHS, and it basically pretty much covers all the NHS staff that work within the NHS. So it covers the healthcare assistants, the phlebotomists, the nurses, the midwives, the clerk. It covers all the employees that work within the NHS except for the doctors, the dentist or senior or junior doctors that work within the NHS. They have a different kind of paying scale. So the bands cover pretty much all the employees that work within the NHS. So each band is subject to your qualification and your experience. So depending on your experience and your qualification will determine on the band you are in and how you progress and where you kind of begin when you start a new job or a new role. So depending on the qualification, the higher you become, or depending on the experience, the higher you become per band. So the band starts from band 1 and go up to band 9. So band 1 is basically the starter point, and band 9 is like the more senior position that there is in the NHS. So as a band 1 to a band say 4, these bands do not require qualifications. You don't need to go to university and study a degree or a master's to actually be in these bands. Yes, you need experience and there's some sort of training that you need to do in order to be placed in these bands, but you don't necessarily need a qualification to become either a band 1, 2, 3 or 4. So the bands that you need a qualification for and experience begin from band 5 up until band 8. So those kind of position, you need to be qualified or have some sort of degree or qualification in order to be placed in those bands, not just experience. Experience won't put you in those bands unless you have a qualification to back it up. So in saying that, they no longer do band 1 anymore. Like, they don't classify any grade as a band 1. Obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but since I think 2018 they didn't have that position anymore to become a band 1. So they started their bands from band 2. So let me give you an example. A healthcare assistant can be a band 2 and a band 3 depending on their experience and their training and what they have to offer. A healthcare assistant normally starts at a band 2 and they can work their way up the more experience that they gain and the more time that they're in the trust or in the hospital that they are working in. So now let's talk bands and how much they pay. I'm going to be looking down on my phone just so I remember the numbers. So a band 2 healthcare assistant could be paid up to between 18 and 19,000 a year. A band 3 is 20 to 21,000. A band 4 is 22 to 24,000 depending on the experience and how long you have been in that trust and how long you've worked for them. Band 5 is 25 to 31. A band 6 is 32 to 39k. A band 7 is 40 to 45k. A band 8A is 47 to 53k. A band 8B is 54 to 63k. A band 8C is 65 to 75k. A band 8D is 78k to 90k. A band 9 is 93 to 103k. So the higher you go, the more money you make. That's basically what the bands are. It's based on your experience and qualification. Those are the two things that they look at, and that will determine which band you go in and if you progress. So experience and qualification, and the more years, the more time you stay in that role, you progress, you gain more experience and you go up a level. With the qualification from band 5 to 8, you can apply to become, say, a band 6, a band 7. So you go for interview, they see if you're fit for the role, and they give you the role if you meet the requirements, if you have the certain experiences, if you have the certain qualifications. So it's not just your manager thinking, okay, I'm going to put you as a band 7 because you have worked well for the past year, or you should be going to a band 7. This is solely for midwifery, just so you don't get confused. You can actually apply to become a band 7 if you feel like you have gained enough experience and you know that you are fit for that role. So, you know, managers could recommend and they could push you, saying you are good, go and apply for this band 7 role. But you can also apply for that role within yourself if you feel like you have the experience and you can do that role. So there's other ways to move up. So you can apply, you can get the qualification, you can get the experience, get the training and apply and move up bands. Or sometimes it's just automatic and you just move up a band depending on the experience, how long you've been there, the qualifications you gained, and what your manager feel that is best for you in terms of your progression and all of that good stuff. So I hope that has kind of given you an idea of how bands work. It was kind of brief. If you guys would like me to do like another video and go into in-depth detail about bands, I can do so. So please drop me a comment, send me a DM, and I'll do another video. But that's just a brief outline on how bands work, why we have them, the system, and what is required in each band in order to progress. So back to me and how I have kind of progressed within my band. So when I qualified and I joined the trust that I work in, I was a band 5 midwife. So normally in the normal world of the UK, the NHS, a midwife automatically becomes a band 6 unless they're newly qualified. So in simple terms, a midwife shouldn't stay at a band 5 post. This is because the qualification that you get after you finish your degree is above a band 5. So you are expected within that year or within that 6 months to progress and become a band 6. It's expected. It's something that you need to do in order to be the full midwife that you need to be. There is no midwife that is a band 5 unless they're newly qualified and they're on the preceptorship program trying to progress to a band 6. But there's no such thing as a band 5 midwife within the UK. So with my trust, I started off as a band 5 midwife, and the aim was always to get my band 6, whether it's within 6 months or whether it's within the year. So when I started on my preceptorship program, the goal was to work in all the different departments within maternity, so antenatal ward, postnatal ward, labour ward, community, clinic. So I needed to kind of get my experiences within those areas within the 12 months of my preceptorship program, and while doing that, get my competencies signed, get my skills together, gain my confidence, build my knowledge, and prepare myself to become a band 6. So for the 6 months that I've been working, I started off in birth center. So I was in birth center for about 3 months, and then I went to kind of triage / DAU for about 4 weeks. After that, then I went to labor ward, which is where I've just been. I was in labor ward for about 4 months. And then I am now just currently started. I am on the postnatal ward. So while I was in labour ward and birth centre, I was getting all my competencies signed, I was getting my cannulation signed, my suturing signed, and I was just getting all my bits as much as I can so that I can get my band 6 when the 6 months mark. And my manager was like, let's have a meeting. Have you met all the requirements so far? Have you done all your training? Have you done all your e-learning? Have you done all your cannulations? Have you done all your suturing? And if all that is met, then obviously I could just email my manager and say, can we have a meeting? I would like to have my band 6 meeting. I've done this, and this is where I am so far. So that is where I've been. So I've been on labour ward for the past 4 months, and after labour ward is when I emailed my manager for my band 6 meeting. So let me just quickly get through some of the competencies that I had to get signed off in order to get my band 6. So this is my preceptorship handbook. I have a video on my channel about my preceptorship program where I go into more detail about my book. I'll link it in the description box below, and it'll pop up on the screen here. So yeah, so I'm just gonna briefly read some competencies that I had to do. So I had to complete all my birth center competencies because I've been there. I won't go back there for the rest of the year, so I had to get those signed and completed. I also was in labour ward, so I had to make sure that I got all my labour ward competencies signed because I wasn't going back to labour ward for the rest of the year. So what my manager told us is, wherever you go, you need to get everything signed before you move to the next area in order for you to progress and get your band 6, which I did. So I got all my competencies signed for birth center while I was there. I got all my competencies signed for labour ward while I was there. I got all my cannulation signed because that's another thing that she was looking for, cannulation signed. I got all my suturing signed, which is another thing that she was looking for. I got all my e-learning up to date, so there's nothing on the system that is still not done. Everything is done. I got all my training, like breastfeeding training that I had to do and stuff like that. All my training was up to date, and that is basically what she was looking for in order for us to sit down and get my band 6. For example, competencies like CTG competency, working in theatre competencies, knowing my emergency equipment, epidural support and management, I had to get that signed off. My medication, IV medication and giving medication via IV, I had to get that signed off. So that is just a brief overview of the competencies that I had to basically get signed off in order to get my band 6. So once I had everything up to date, everything was signed off that I needed to get signed off, I sent an email to my manager just sent her an email saying, are you able to meet up with me so we can have my band 6 meeting? I've done so and so and so, and you know, when is it the best time for you and I to sit down and have a meeting about this? She took a while to get back to me because she's forever busy. She's looking after 20 other preceptors, so she took like 2 weeks to get back to me. So she emailed me back and she said, we can sit down this week in my office, pop down and come and see me. So I was already on the ward. I was on the postnatal ward. I was on a shift. So I asked the manager on that ward, can I go see my preceptorship manager and just have a meeting with her? She was like, yeah, that's fine, no problem. Just, you know, hand over your ladies before you go so that nothing's missed. So I handed over my ladies. I went downstairs and sat with my manager. So yeah, we sat down and then she, you know, asked for my preceptorship book. I gave her my preceptorship book and she literally went from page to page, from the beginning right until the end, so she didn't miss anything. So she opened my book and she, you know, she asked me, we had a little chat, how are you, how's things going, how are you finding things, is there anything you're concerned about, all of that stuff. You know, she's very, very lovely. She's very, very, like, you know, she likes to be honest with us, she likes us to be honest with her. So we had a little brief chit chat. Then she started with my book and then she was, you know, looking at all the competencies. She was looking at every single signature, making sure it was signed, dated. And then she will sign every page so that it's like a reminder for her that she's seen my book. So she'll sign each page, she'll turn to the next page, she'll sign the page after she's seen it. So after she kind of flicked through my book, she then asked me a few questions. So I was really not prepared for questions. I didn't know she was going to ask me questions. I generally just thought she was going to go through my competencies, which is what she asked me for, through my e-learning and through everything that I had to get signed, and that will be it. And then she just was like, oh, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. So I was just like, oh my, like, I was not prepared for this. So she decided to ask me a few questions. One of the questions that she asked me was in my actual competencies. So she asked me things that were already my competencies that I had already signed, just to make sure that I knew what I was getting signed off and I understood what they meant. So one of the questions she asked me was, are you aware of the 5 elements of Saving Babies' Life's care bundle and its complications of care? So I was just like, oh damn, like this was one of the first things that I got signed off, like in the early days. But when she asked me that question, I just thought about it, took a minute, and it just came back to me, and I just gave her the answers. I gave her what she was looking for, and then she was like, cool, fine. And then we moved on to the next one, and then she was like, I have another question for you. And then she asked me another question, and I was like, what is it now? So she turned the page and she was like, and then she was like, are you aware of the better births and its complications? And I'm just like, she's asking me, like, you know, the most random questions. It's not about, you know, what would you do if a CTG is pathological, or what would you do if you had a Brady? Like, those things are basics. I just know them like that. But this is things like, you know, research has gone into them. What has been done? Why has it been done? You know, what are we trying to improve, and what has been put forward in order for better outcomes for mums and babies? So it was things that I had to proper think about, and it's something that I'm not using maybe every single time. Like, I'm always looking at a CTG, I'm always looking at documentations, I'm always looking at breastfeeding, you know, all of that is like every single time at work. So she was asking me things that I didn't normally think about, like that would kind of get me thinking. So yeah, she asked me a few questions, but she asked me about 4 questions, and I was, you know, happy to answer them correctly, and that was pretty much it. After the whole meeting, she handed over my band 6 lanyard. So as a band 5, we were wearing the kind of lilac pinky lanyard, and just to differentiate us from band 5, band 6. And then as soon as, you know, she handed me the it was like a darker purple lanyard which showed that I was a band 6. I was like, oh, I was so happy, I was so excited. I was officially, you know, a band 6 midwife. People could tell that I was a band 6. So yeah, so she handed me my band 6 lanyard. She spoke to me about the pay, when this will reflect on my pay. She said she was going to send off the paperwork and it will, you know, come the next month. So yeah, that was basically how my band 6 meeting went. It was about an hour. It was just basically her checking that I was up to date with everything, asked me a few questions, and that was pretty much it. And then my band 6 was handed over to me. Obviously, I have other competencies that I need to complete. For example, I've only just started postnatal ward, and my postnatal competencies are not, they're not complete. This is fine because this is what my trust do. They don't expect you to have all your competencies signed before you get your band 6. For my trust, you only need to get the competencies signed for the area that you've been in, and all the other major competencies such as cannulation, suturing, IV and CTG and neonatal resuscitation. Those are the main ones that you need to get signed off. The others will come in time because you still have 12 months to complete them, but we are able to get our band 6 if you've got majority or half of the things signed where you've been, if that kind of makes sense. So one of the questions that I got a lot when I announced that I got my band 6 was, now that I'm a band 6, I'm no longer a preceptor, or my preceptorship is only 6 months. This is wrong. I'm still on the preceptorship program. I'm still a preceptee. Even though I got my band 6, it's just a different pay that I'm getting. I'm still on the preceptorship program. I still have to complete my preceptorship within the next 6 months. So it doesn't mean that now that I'm a band 6 midwife, I'm automatically not a preceptee, or I finish my preceptorship book or program. I will still continue on my preceptorship journey and finish it and make sure everything is complete. It's just that my pay is now different, and I'm now getting paid as a band 6 rather than a band 4. Rather than a band 5. So another question that I got is, now that I'm a band 6, what is different? What is, you know, what can I do now? Like, am I treated differently? Am I expected to do other things? Am I expected to do more? So I'm now band 6, but I'm still a preceptee on a preceptorship program. However, I am now able to take more responsibility of, you know, how I conduct myself at work. For example, as a band 5 midwife, I was not allowed to, for example, fresh eye a CTG. So we do this thing where, you know, you check your colleague's CTG, making sure everything is running smoothly. I wasn't allowed to do that because I was still a band 5 midwife. Now that I'm a band 6, I can fresh eye and check my colleague's CTG. So another thing that I can now do as a band 6 is I can supervise and mentor students. So as a band 5, you're not able to have a student to work with. This is solely for my trust and where I work. Band 5s are not given students to look after or supervise or mentor because you are still kind of figuring it out. But now that I'm a band 6, I can actually mentor and supervise students. I can sign in their books and, you know, things like that. So there's little things that change now that I'm a band 6, but it's not big changes because I'm still a preceptee, if that makes sense. I've got more responsibilities because I'm a band 6, but they still recognize me as a preceptee who is still on the preceptorship program, who is still learning and building their skills, and, you know, they need to give me time. They're not just going to throw me in the deep end because I'm a band 6 now. They're still, yeah, I'm a band 6, but they still need to take into consideration that I'm still in the preceptorship program. But that's basically how my trust operates. I started with a group of girls who are also band 6 now. It's not just me. Yeah, we're band 6, but we're still preceptees on the preceptorship program, and that's just basically how we decided to do it. Also, to add on, some of the girls decided to delay their band 6 and continue their preceptorship program and finish it and then get their band 6. So that is also an option. I could have decided to stay as a band 5 until the year is up, but I just decided, you know, majority of the work that I'm doing already as a band 5, minus, you know, fresh starting CTGs and work with students, but I am already working as a band 6 in my eyes. For example, there's times where I've come on a shift and we're short of staffed, the numbers just are not making sense, and I am counted in the numbers even though I'm supposed to be supernumerary. So situations like that got me thinking, if I'm already being counted in the numbers and I'm not being provided with my, you know, supernumerary time, and I'm being, you know, I'm asked to do so many things that a band 6 is already doing, why not just apply for my band 6 and get my band 6 because I'm already doing as much as a band 6, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was the only reason why I decided to get my band 6 in 6 months, because I wasn't going to suffer, okay? Like, you know, there'll be times where I get pulled down because they're short on labour ward. I'm getting pulled here and there, and it's just like, okay, that shouldn't be happening because I'm a preceptee, but it happens anyway because they're short of staff. So you can't say no, you have to help out, you have to be a team player, but let it reflect my pay. Just, you know, if that's what's going to happen, I'm happy to help, I'm happy to get pulled down and get on with it, but it's a thing where let it reflect my pay. So that's just why I decided to get my band 6, and some decided not to get their band 6 and wait for the year, which is also their choice. So people were also asking me, what do you plan to do now that you're band 6? Are you going to go for the band 7? And what do you plan to do for the future? So, well, I've had some thought, not some deep thoughts, but I've had some thought. I would love to be a band 7 in the near future, but not just yet. I feel like I need to gain a lot of clinical experience before I apply for a band 7 role. So before I apply for a band 7, I want to gain more clinical experiences. I want to have been doing this job for a while, so I won't be, you know, applying for a band 7 anytime soon, although that is a plan of mine in the near future, but just not yet. So a band 7, you're seen as more senior, you're coordinating shifts on labour ward, you're doing this and that, you're doing the rotas with the managers. So there's a lot of responsibilities that come with actually being a band 6. It's not just, okay, I just want a bigger pay rise. There's a lot more that come with being a, you know, a higher band. For example, everything, if you're a band 7, you're seen as the more senior midwife. So if there's any issues and if there's any problems, they will come to you to solve these issues. So if I'm just, you know, little me with my 1 year experience going to apply for a band 7 role, and people are coming to me asking me about, we have a Braddy in that room and we have a Braddy in that room, who's going to theatre first? I will have to decide on that. I will have to delegate. I will have to say, right, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. And I feel like I need more experience first before I can actually apply for band 7, because there's a lot that comes into actually being a band 7. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. So yes, I do plan to go up a grade or up a band in the near future, but just not yet. I feel like I still need my clinical experience, my overall experience working as a midwife for a couple years before I transition into a band 7. So that's pretty much it for this video. I kind of made it short and sweet. I didn't want it to be too long. If I haven't answered any of your questions, please do message me, drop me a comment below, and if you guys would like a part 2 where I go into in-depth detail about bands, you know, what bands are in more detail, I could also do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We're at 1k subscribers already, and thank you guys for getting me there. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. We finally reached 1k subscribers, and I'm so thankful for everyone that's joined my YouTube family. Don't forget to keep sharing, to keep liking my videos so more people can get to see all my videos. But thank you so much for subscribing. For all my new subscribers, we finally hit 1k, and I'm so happy to continue creating amazing content for you guys. And yeah,